In IT society, tech pros must support and work with users from around the globe. We gathered 3 experts to share their challenges and guidelines to working with global IT. These are their stories.
One of the things that comes up routinely with working with IT groups is kind of fitting in with the larger IT society as a whole. And part of that, for me at least, has been working with international teams. So for the session, we've got Stephen and Sascha joining us who have different perspectives than I do. For me, I've run into a lot of trouble. I don't want to necessarily say trouble, but there's been difficulty as an American understanding how to work with international IT groups just because there seems to be a society or cultural shift. Example is having problems and it's noon Eastern time and there's a major meltdown happening on the West Coast and the people in the UK are the one helping me fix this and it's 5 o'clock local and they're like, gotta get my train. And I'm like, there's still craziness happening over here and we still have 5 hours of work time. I need someone to help me. And they're like, tomorrow. And for me, that felt very odd as an American in IT 24/7, 365. And what have you guys experienced? Because Sascha, you've worked only international from the American side. You've only worked elsewhere. So.
Well, I can tell you an easy example. In London, you take the train, there's no cars. Actually, you wouldn't use the car. If you miss the train, you have a problem, okay? So it's about priorities.
Okay.
It's your only city to go, your only plan to get out of the city. And if you don't catch it, that's it. So what was it, a broken email system?
Yeah.
It's still broken tomorrow, okay? So
yeah.
It's fine. Someone else might take care of it.
Yeah, that seems so weird to hear though. But Stephen, you've worked both, so.
Yeah, well, for one thing, I mean, as far as the train goes, when I worked in Boston, I had to catch my train too.
Okay.
So that's, not totally an international thing. Some Americans don't have cars. I know.
That's crazy
right?
to me.
I mean, wow. But
mass transit's a thing.
Yeah. But I did notice that having worked in IT jobs both in the U.S. in different parts of the U.S. As well as internationally in Switzerland and the U.K. There was just a whole different approach to the job of IT, and in some ways I think that. Sometimes I really feel like the Americans were being taken advantage of by their companies by being forced to work 24/7 instead of being treated as professionals who can decide when things need to be back up and everything. I mean, the idea is this incessant drive to 100% uptime and everything's important except your life.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I heard we're striving for 5 nines. We're striving for 5 nines. We're striving, and that means you sacrifice your life for uptime at a company. And we're always in a culture of IT, at least I've always heard it, is do more with less, do more with less. Yeah. But is that human resources as well? Like our people, when teams shrink for whatever reason, the workload doesn't seem to change in the States. In fact, frequently I've had that go, okay, well now we must buckle down and concentrate. Here's the next super high priority project.
Yeah, I think, look, the email example, it's an important thing. And usually, even in Europe, you try to get it running, okay? It's not like 5 o'clock hammer, okay? We do this in Germany occasionally. But usually, if something important is happening, you're going to fix it. But will you go always the extra mile for stuff that you can actually do tomorrow? No, okay? Because you need to keep the balance. In IT, sometimes there's tasks, projects. Where do you end? Where do you finish? And that's a problem, I guess.
Yeah, I think that it really does come down to maybe a question of pushback or a question of professionalism. It's challenging, I know, to do this, but frankly, if the company needs 24/7 support, maybe they should hire 24/7 staff instead of hiring 9 to 5 staff who are expected to work 24/7. I mean, that was the thing that really hit me working in IT operations, and one of the reasons that I quit IT operations and went into consulting and wherever the heck I am now is because I felt like it was really out of balance, and the company's expectations and demands were just so far beyond what I could reasonably do that I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. It's the ticketing system that never ends. No matter how good you are, no matter how much work you put in, you'll never have a clean queue. And that's what I've ran into a lot. Like, if I got down to 5 open tickets personally assigned to me, not to the team, just to me, that was an accomplishment in the States. There was always more work that just came out of, it seemed, the woodwork. There was the special project here, or the extra favor there, or that one person that needed that thing to do their job. And it typically was only one person. Email down is a different scenario. It affects a lot of people. But I always found myself going out of my way to help that one VIP, the CEO, the CFO.
Yeah.
You know.
What I would consider worse is actually, you say there's 5 tickets, but how many extra work would you do outside of a ticketing system? Mm-hmm. Someone is dropping by the desk and, hey, I need this. It's just a small favor, a tiny favor. Mm-hmm. Yeah? 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right? It's not good. Right?
That's the knock on the side of the cube and be like, you got a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just run.
Mm-hmm. Frequently.
I think one aspect of this whole conversation is the fundamental architecture of what we're building and sort of the mindset of the people who are building it. So the question to me is, are we building systems that are, supportable and sustainable, or are we building systems that are cool? And I think that in American IT, we're much more driven by cool tech. I mean, we, think of ourselves as nerds and geeks who love this stuff. Whereas, in my experience working in other countries, it was different because people basically were much more focused on, how is this system going to serve the business and how is it going to work long term? And is this something that I'm going to be able to quit and have somebody else take up when I have to catch my train?
Yeah. So it was less bleeding edge. I mean, it's not even the right terminology. We're passionate about technology. And if I'm building something that I love building, that's great, but it's so mine. And being able to help other people understand that sometimes it feels like an occasional barrier. It's like, I don't have time to teach you all the nuance of this beautiful thing I built. Now, if this beautiful thing I built helps the business not at all, then I shouldn't have been building it. And that's something that I think we've run into frequently.
It has to work.
Yes.
IT is providing a service, basically, and the service is to keep the company alive. And if you build fancy stuff, it's nice. And we would probably, all of us would like to do this when we have like 5-10 minutes of nothing to do, instead of watching videos. Actually, I do love watching cat videos, but sometimes it's cool to just create something. But that's not a job. Okay, you have to focus on whatever runs the company. And that system has to run. And no, this is not the super latest hype technology. It would be nice, but when the stuff is out there for a little bit longer, it's more mature and you trust that it's working, it will do. That's how I would see it over there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we just, in IT, I think that it's funny because it is like it's kind of coming around to haunt us, our nerdiness, is because we want to have the cool stuff and we want to be working on things that are, fun and interesting. But we're kind of losing sight of the fact that it really is a job and it's a function, and unfortunately, they just really need it to work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you let in with the whole, the email system is down question. Maybe we should have engineered the email system differently.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have used a different product or something, I don't know. Or maybe, we need to have, monitoring and processes in place so that we'll be able to have things run a little bit better instead of just constantly being reactive.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reactive, proactive part is always, that's a discussion we'll be having for years and years and years. But support generally is a reactive. Mm-hmm. Something's broken, here's a break-fix scenario.
It's like the definition of support.
It is, yeah. The fun part about that for me is being able to support, it was a challenge, but it was fun, being able to support as many systems as possible. And some of that involved with cross-training, like learning a little bit about this and a little bit about that. So, my friend Tony could go home at the end of the day and I could help out with this small portion of a pillar he's responsible for.
Training is a good one, actually. In a perfect world, there would be enough opportunity in regards to time and budget. So to upskill everyone in IT, okay? So it would be really, really, really nice if the network guy would get a little bit better understanding of how to set up virtualization. He probably knows a little bit, like we all do, okay? But not necessarily. And if someone from a different vertical would have enough knowledge to at least fix basic problems, that would lower the stress level on each individual, because I could do parts of your job and vice versa, okay? So, but then again, time is a problem. Not each organization would be able to say like, I'll give you 10% of your time for upskilling, for training, yeah? And I have a little bit of budget aside for you. And budget is a big one, isn't it? At least from my point of view, budget is always a problem.
Yeah, and I think there's a catch-22 when it comes to IT training, because on the one hand, it's undoubtedly important, and I've never worked for an IT company that didn't stress training.
Yes.
Right? But at the same time,
yes, yeah,
on paper,
in discussion.
but at the same time, I never got training. Why? Because in order to get training, somebody has to take your tasks on. And in order for them to take your tasks on, they have to be trained in what your tasks are and how to do things like that in order to give you time off.
Yep.
I never got time off. I never got time off until I quit. And I don't know that it was necessarily a lack of desire on management's part. I don't even know if it was a lack of budget. Now, it might have been. I know that companies were always thrilled with free training. But part of it really is this catch-22 of, look, we can't have you not be working because we desperately need you to keep this thing going. And so you can't take time off in order to maybe learn how to keep the thing going, and it's really a challenge.
Yeah, I've run into that. My favorite was when people would talk about the events, the major global events, the IT like the Cisco's and the Microsofts and those, and go to those and say, we're going there as part of our training budget. And that's great, but a lot of times for those, what we just finished talking about is they're talking about all the new stuff, the new hotness, whatever this year's thing is. That means we're going to be chasing that when we get back, and we're not actually getting the training on the stuff we already have. And for me, that's always been a tough part. I know that there's a lot of resources if you want to kind of self-learn, and I think people need to kind of occasionally take that initiative, but you got to also ask what's going to be best for the business. Talk to your boss and say, hey, should I spend my time? I know we've got 3 people who know this thing really well. Should I learn this? Or should I learn the new thing that I know we're going to be doing next year? Is it worth putting my time in now to get ready for that?
It kind of comes down to professionalism. Is IT a professional occupation where people are, expected to basically, I almost like a white collar expectation of, you're expected to come to work and be, a professional and get your training and get your certifications and, do your thing, which I think is much more a European approach to IT versus we're on fire, you fix that thing, And it's a totally different expectation, and I think that comes into all of these things from architecture to budgeting to training.
Yeah, I know that frequently I felt like the mechanic. I mean, it's a probably not the best analogy, but that when something is on fire and they need someone at the data center, they get whoever's at work and willing to go, and you go there and you do it regardless of what it's for, and it is the firefighting mentality.
Yeah. That's most part of the job, I guess, right? And could we minimize that?
I hope so.
Training?
Well, maybe even firefighting is not a good metaphor because even firefighters get training.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's one of the things that is, as much as I love the technology, I frequently have to tell myself that I'm not here for the technology. I am here for the end user, whether it's internal customer or external customer.
So you're basically telling me I should stop watching cat videos and instead watching how to fix my environment?
Tough sell, I know.
Maybe if the videos were more interesting.
More cats.
Switches and cats.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had a bunch of discussions here, and I haven't had the privilege of working internationally. Is there any recommendation you guys would give me as an American trying to understand the best way to do this in IT?
Relax. Okay, even if there's loads of stress, try to distract yourself. 30 seconds, take a deep breath. Mindfulness would be the approach. Okay, whenever you have time with nothing to do, and it happens. Okay, watch videos or take a walk and just enjoy a little bit time off the stress. The next ticket, the ticket will be there 2 minutes later, and that really relax. That would be a good one, I think.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that I learned coming from American IT shops, going to Switzerland and working in Swiss IT, was professionalism and organization and, meetings and all this stuff. I think that, people in America like to joke about. Oh, good, it's a meeting to have a meeting, or oh, great, let's come up with an agenda for that. But frankly, that stuff is actually really important. And basically taking time to think about what you're going to do, taking time to go through change control. I think I always felt like change control was just a hassle, but truly it's really useful because it keeps the thing from catching on fire in the first place.
Yeah, it's something I never loved being a part of. I hated being part of the meetings. I hated putting the changes in. It's like, Don't you just trust me to know this well enough? And it wasn't all about me. And I think that's one of the other things is, it's not all about your vertical. It affects all of your infrastructure when it's an IT decision.
Plan ahead, less stress afterwards. It's kind of like backups. If you do your backups, test them actually, otherwise it's not a backup, okay? So make sure you have a plan for any tasks that are a little bit more than just pressing a button over there. Get organized, it helps you later in case of emergency, basically.
And one thing as well that I learned is to kind of think about your career, think about your life, think about again, change control is actually a way to help you, not shoot yourself in the foot. Similarly, we talked about training. Training is not just ooh, I get to learn something new. It's I'm going to learn to do my job better and hopefully to avoid fires and to keep things going. We also talked about, kind of the balance of work and life. And I think maybe it is time for us to start thinking about how Americans treat IT, and do they treat it in a professional manner, and do they think of it as, something that, you can, have a career in, or is this sort of like a, the guys downstairs kind of approach?
And I, for one, from hearing both of these, need to realize I need to actually use my vacation time. Because I'm very bad at it. There's been years where I haven't taken them, and it's just, because you're always like, there's more things to do, there's these expectations. And a lot of times, you're shaking your head, a lot of times, I put that onus on myself. It's not a business decree. I feel like I need to do this. And I think it's something that's what I need to learn to work better with.
Yeah, man. But the vacation time, you need to take it, right? It happens that at the end of the year, there might be 1 or 2 days which you take over. But usually in Europe, you do take your holidays, and there's no way out of it. That's definitely a thing. And
in the US, you do not take your holidays.
No.
It's shocking to me. So I used to be, now I'm the boss, and I'm starting to see how people aren't taking their holidays. And I'm starting to realize that I need to encourage them to take time off and to do fun things. And I need to encourage them not to check Slack when they're on vacation and stuff. And I think a lot of that lesson came from seeing the European approach, because it was like, it's just so much better for people if they have a chance to, to take that time and kind of decompress and come back recharged instead of just burning themselves out.
To burn out, that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's about 5, right?
Oh, I got a train to catch.
Okay.
Take care.
Pint?
Yep.
Pint is good.
Let's do it.